Hi, hi guys, uh, hi guys, and welcome. Hi guys, and welcome to episode number 5 of episode number 5 of Excellent Mutual Conversations. And as always, I'm joined by the best co-host on YouTube, and yes, she and she it that she in in
Yeah, but I
cast
paid him in English money, so it doesn't count, right?
yeah that so so how you get in sharp for
Good. Like I said, I had a bit of a didn't get up when I should have this morning moment, so that was fun, but otherwise good.
that yeah and tonight's guest is none other than an absolute gentleman in the Doctor Who community, and um, the head of the on factory forum, Sadako twenty or an apologies for an apologies for mispronouncing your name as usual. I always mispronounce it, but I'm actually Gil. I had to get you on to my channel at asked.
Yeah. So thank you for that was a lovely introduction. Yeah, I mean, don't worry about my name. It's not my real name anyway. So I mean, and everyone
Yeah.
usually mispronounces it.
They make their own versions, don't they, of your name? I've noticed.
Yes, yes.
So so just start off, just to start off the conversation, can you tell us can you tell us about can you tell us about ozone over at the on factory, and if you haven't already joined and said that I was Sadako's Autumn, all the details of the own and the description that and oh, oh, as was as well as other channels that I'm sure appears on and stuff that so to start so to start is often said I could ever is about tell us about your autumn.
Well, the forum actually belongs to a guy called Graham, who I was moderating another forum with, a forum called the Leisure Hive, and then we had a fallout with the moderators there, and we decided to do our own thing. So we kind of quickly went to Pro Boards, and he founded this forum. He called it the Autumn Factory, and we decided to start it from there. We started it in lockdown. We decided we wanted to see if we could do it, just see if we could actually get our own forum off the ground where we could kind of have our own take on the show.
Yeah.
It's mostly a forum where it's about nostalgia. About we kind of try to gather together like threads about memorabilia about the show, particular fan events like the Trial of Davros play back in 2005. There's kind of a focus on different stuff kind of thing, and because it's at the moment there's not much to enthuse fans about the current show, so we try to kind of bring back the
Put it
nostalgia.
lightly.
Yeah,
Like,
and you get the way it's just getting a bit, just getting a bit of key, and it's just getting a bit of the key. You're listening around and fighting from the fandom. I'm getting sick of it myself, but in terms, but in terms of and terms of you post on the forum, is there any specific era that you is there any specific era that you post that you post that you post in particular? Because I've heard you mention, and I've heard you mention that you think that the 60s and 70s are kind of the strongest eras of the show. So is was it all turn back to the does it all turn back to the way we talk to um um we talk to that sort of you read and kill as it could.
well, kind of, but I mean, I do try to put in something there for fans of all eras. I mean, it is true. It is true. I'm biased toward that kind of the 60s and 70s. That was the era for me, and it's for me a lot of stuff after Pales, but it's obviously everyone discovers everyone becomes a fan of the show differently, and they have their own era they come along on. But I mean, but I mean, usually what I do is if someone's posted a YouTube video about something, because it's all about kind of trying to get a framing in point in, like for instance, if someone new has posted a review about an old episode, I'll post the review, and that kind of because the review's new, the episode's old, it allows kind of people to talk about an old episode becoming current again, kind of thing. I mean, that's what I try to do. I mean, it's difficult. It doesn't always work. I always kind of try and try to think, well, what's the best way to hook posters onto someone? And it's difficult because sadly at this point in the fandom, it's like people aren't enthusiastic about the show like they were.
I was going to say then, as obviously we've all sort of talked about that differently, and we don't want to probably hang on too much on it. But from your experience then running a forum, which is different to YouTube and sort of other things, what's the thing that you're getting the most? And what are you hearing, or sort of could you sort of summarize it?
Well, you mean the most the main sentiment on the forum?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the people who post the most tend to be kind of it's mostly fans I knew from other forums, so they tend to be kind of quite like-minded in their view that they're more kind of classic oriented, but they really hate the current era. They hate the idea of doing the female Doctor at all, really. I mean, my take, I'm not a fan of the idea, but I do think it's really Series 12 where everything kind of was just like Series 11 was bad, but it was salvageable, I think. Series 12 wasn't.
Yeah. And for you, is it the canon stuff? Because I know you spoke about that on like other chats.
Yeah. But actually, but we get the from that sentiment, because although series are having because although series are having because and because although series are like in the booth a sort of a piece of kill all
Yeah.
it didn't really affect and room an awful or it was its own separate entity whereas
Yeah.
it's in series um whereas in series 12 was right back into the continues to the heart of era
Yeah.
and can it was like so disrespectful Harton. And like at that point, and at that point, the time was children with my sort of um 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 is my sort of point where I've said I've had off because of because of still Bill, even or not, what I still haven't sat for the I still haven't sat for the special and you get
Same here.
feeling
Yeah.
and you get and and a hearing and a hearing now that it's and a hearing now that it's starting to affect and ca- and hearing now that it's starting to affect and all the all the kill. 6 series all the kill. 6 series you yeah that's uh, and I think it's like only do even further damage to even further damage to heals that you're getting. You get or you getting the same sort of eyes on um on the on fact are they
Um, with some of the posters, definitely. Some of them have said to me, "Look, I just don't feel good about the show at the moment. I've got like all this collect stuff I've collected. It kind of it's almost like it's taken away the meaning of a lot of it, kind of thing." And he said, and but there's also the fandom as well has been in such a bad state, so it's like it's no longer a fun activity to be a fan. And like some have even said to me, "Look, I just want to pack my stuff away and just leave it for a bit." But you know, I'll come back to it later when I feel better about the show. But at the moment, I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think it's so nobody could predict almost because it's like
I honestly did think Chibnall was better than this. Like, you know, I didn't think it would ever go quite that far with it.
yeah, I was I'll happily admit this when he was announced, I was actually like that. I actually thought he would be good because I thought Moffat was getting to the stage where he was getting too wrapped up in his own plots. He was getting too look at me, I'm so clever. Sort of all his bad tendencies I felt like were times 100 almost by the end of Capaldi's run. Like the stuff that might have niggled you a bit beforehand, he was doing a lot more.
Yeah.
So when and I actually liked Torchwood, so I was like, okay. It was when Jodie was announced that I got that sinking feeling because I was just like, it's the way they did it, and the more we've seen of Chib's run, I think some of that came from Chib's. The sort of we're doing this blatantly for politics.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's when I started that sort of feeling I initially had of, oh, he could be good. Actually, I'm up for it. Was like, okay. But that's the problem, isn't it? Because it's all so connected. Even if you at the end of the day, she's number 13. So if you feel bad in general, you can watch previous. Like I've not got to the stage yet, that it's affected me watching previous Who, and I don't think it ever will. Did you ever get to that stage? Because I know a few people in the fandom have spoke about that.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I didn't actually see the Timeless Children. I heard rumors about what was coming, and I just checked out. If the last classics, the last current story I saw was Orphan 55, and then although I did see the recent special, but I wish I hadn't. I just got curious. But yeah, when I was doing the watch-alongs, I was able to put that out of mind and think, no, the Doctor is the Doctor we always knew he was. He's not that Timeless Children backstory nonsense doesn't apply to me. Well, and I think it was probably because we were watching it together as a kind of fan group that we kind of said to ourselves, we reject this nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed the streams that you did for obviously Eve travels and with time as well. I thought they were, I thought they were awesome and good streams, and you can really tell that and you can really tell that you've got that you've got a good sort of you've got a good sort of it's sort of it's sort of either it's sort of either the or either, and you can really see that and you can really see and you can really hear the enjoyment and that you have because either is there any Tom Baker and is there any Tom Baker story that you enjoy and that you enjoy over any other story?
I think I have a special place in my heart for Genesis of the Daleks because it was the story that made me a fan. It was the one that I really remember. I saw the repeat of it in 1993 when I was 11, and I got hooked on that one, and that was it. I mean, I didn't really kind of fully understand the show at that point, so this was kind of one that kind of took me deeper into the lore and the fact that it isn't just about because I'd seen trailers of the show repeats, and most of them focused on Pertwee working for the military. So the trailer didn't give you any idea that he was an alien or that it involved other planets. It all seemed to be kind of Earth-centric. Whereas Genesis of the Daleks was the first one that hinted that it wasn't just Earth-centric. It was like there was other worlds. There was huge kind of intergalactic wars involving the Daleks and that kind of thing. And that kind of.
So did that episode make like the Daleks your favorite monster? So that's the vibe I've always got.
The Daleks really scared me. They did because they were ruthless and then the thing is in that story they win. You're both probably going to kill me. I've not got around to watching Genesis yet. I'm getting there.
Jesus. Jesus Christ, Charlie, you're on a Doctor Who related streaming. You've not actually seen Genesis.
Because I'm getting through classic right now.
Oh, well, I feel guilty now giving you such a big spoiler that the Daleks win.
Oh, I know. No, it's okay.
Well, the thing is, when I watched it, I didn't know they were going to win, so I was actually surprised when they did. I was like, "My God, this is." I thought I'd never seen the bad guys win before.
I think that's what Davros does well, though, when he's written well.
Yeah.
Because I love in Journey's End. I adore that moment, and I said it recently on the stream because I really like the actor. But that moment when he basically is right with the Doctor, whether you make them weapons speech. And that's the clever thing with Davros. He's calculating, and when he's got a point, he makes sure it's always personal with the Doctor and it's really going to hurt.
Yeah.
So that's what I think Davros is. When he's written well, that's how you should do Davros.
Yeah. That'll probably never happen again, though, will it?
Yeah.
Sorry. Go with the current era. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right because it's all right because I've talked to much anyway, and obviously as well I've got and obviously as well I have a soft spot for that story myself because it's the introduction of my favourite alright.
Oh yes, yeah.
And if you didn't already know
Bit of a clue in his. I've done it again. Bit of a. I need to learn how to use cameras. Bit of a clue in his name.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like in terms of the overall, in terms of the overall, in terms of the overall, in terms of the overall storyism, well, we could kind of see that we could kind of see that obviously with variation kind of um um and um um and I found these inspiration on his own experiences because they give up during the second origin or at the at the at the bad German people they can't mention by they can't mention by name on YouTube, otherwise it's just he goes Ed, but you can kind of tell that he you can kind of tell that he based him on the dial weeks on that period, so he was kind of driven on his own he was kind of drawn in his own personal experience, and so do I get even off the chat? Do I get even off the chat? Genesis has the best version of Davros. I come, I come. Asher's performance is actually extraordinary and Charlotte that is basically one of the reasons I one of the reasons why you should give Genesis a shot.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm not gonna not watch it. I'm watching Classic now. At least I'm actually watching.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is though, and this is the problem. I think it's one of those stories that it's got such like a hallowed reputation. I'm a bit like scared that I'll watch it and it won't live up to the hype. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also as well, how and also as well, you are still sort of getting used to the sort of X part that because like as a X part also be prepared for that.
Well, I watched 8 parts last week, so.
Oh, the invasion, yeah.
Yeah. But I love Troughton, so it was easier.
Yeah.
Because I'm like you, Sadako. I struggle with the Colin Baker and Sylvester eras from what I've watched so far.
And what and all of them be making at all. He's absolutely
Sadako, what's your thoughts? Because I know you don't have brilliant thoughts about those eras then.
Yeah.
I think the production team of the 80s were unfit for purpose, and unfortunately, the Doctor became kind of avatar for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think then J&T was a bit letting too much of himself be shown in the Doctor?
He was a bit of a control freak, yeah, and but it's like he was a problem, and like he had staff under him who were kind of like Eric Saywood, who was kind of trying to fight his corner, and it was that conflict between them that really made the show kind of even that bit more mean-spirited, I feel.
Yeah, and also as well, you had the whole sort of Ariana John even hiring people with the sort of like a sort of like aims that were good. He didn't have any business in being in who and the guy himself and the guy himself on the nemesis and I thought I can't remember his name. He didn't.
Say I think Sadako knows it.
Yeah, Anton Diffrick, wasn't it?
But he never gave a shit any of his scenes, and you could and also as well, Ian, he hired his husband as well to be part of the production team as well. So there was a bit of and so there was a bit of almost and there's a bit of almost nepotism and artism. Also, was a really chaotic sort of time, and it's I know that this is explained in the behind the scenes extras and on the DVDs and on the DVDs and the classic series she's on Bow. Music. So if you ever get the chance, I would recommend you so give them as well because it'll just see because it'll just see how much chaos is going on behind the scenes.
It might explain some of those scripts then.
Yeah.
It's just some of them you watch those eras, and it's not all bad in those eras, but you get a feeling, don't you, that like there's either a lot of cooks in the kitchen, or they barely got this to screen. That's what I get a lot.
And also as well, I don't know if you've actually seen, I don't know if you've actually seen Ed Diaz Arrow's interview. I thought this was so Andrew Cartmel because like I don't think Andrew Cartmel had the best sort of relationship with Captain Jane because that's been implemented as well that Captain Jane Baker would are very old too, and 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 are very cold. With another production in us, but yeah, I mean, and British. Have you actually checked out that on television on each channel?
I was going to say,
I
Sadako, have you watched it?
Yeah, I actually I posted it to my forum, but like then I kind of, it was later I watched it off my own back because I wanted, like, I was told, like, I heard all the talk about it, and because a lot of people were saying the main thing in there is that he talked about how he felt Pippin Jane. Sorry, he felt like he had kind of a beef with, like, he talked about his issues with Pippin Jane Baker, who wrote they wrote Sylvester McCoy's first story, like, and that was the thing. That was as Andrew Carmel was coming in at the time, and he couldn't do anything about the fact that that's what they were going ahead with, and Pip and Jane thought they thought the script was the bee's knees. They thought they were experienced, and they didn't want this new guy kind of telling them this is wrong, because you changed this. They thought, no, it's fine the way it is. I mean, they must have been a nightmare to deal with because you got, like, it's bad enough when you got one writer who's kind of that kind of headstrong. Where you got a pair and they're married. They're a married couple. Like, it's like, But he also talked a bit about his issues with Chibnall. Because he was almost going to write for Torchwood.
I was surprised at that.
Yeah, same here.
Because I'm surprised he would have wanted to write Torchwood, but it sounds like he just wanted to be a bit back in the fold to me.
He has written a few of the new adventure novels back in the 90s. And they were kind of Torchwood before the time, and that they were
they? Okay.
In the sense that they were kind of Doctor Who trying to be more adults. I mean, I remember when I was 11, kind of giving one of the NAs a try, and I just couldn't get into it. It was those books very much left the kids behind, and I was one of those kids, so I've always been a bit kind of.
And you kind of you kind of see when the show was kind of off here, when you could kind of see when the show was kind of off, was kind of off here, like all the sort of content with obviously the novelizations and the audios, they're kind of or adult oriented and content and if you analyze it, do you actually so do you if into that as else I cool because I know that you've actually and because I know that you've checked out a lot of their own a lot of their own or tales as well. So and so do you find that you get yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more a fan of the audios than the novels. I mean, the novelization, the new adventure novels, there's very, very few I've managed to get through. But the audios I find very easy to get into. But yeah, they are definitely pitch darker. I mean, like one of my favorite series is one of my favorite spin-offs is the Dalek Empire audios, which are
they're awesome.
But they're very graphic. They would definitely, if you did that would not be children's viewing because it's it's pretty horrific content in that, but it works. It's almost like it's the Eric Sayward's approach, but done right, kind of thing.
Yeah, and
I was just going to say, I think the problem is, like, comparing it to that Eric Sayward, and I think more Baker's era for this, because I think by Sylvester's run they were better. It just came across at times to me watching it now it's sort of shock for shock's sake.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we can be nasty, so we'll be nasty. Whereas if you were dealing in periods of the show where you would have that happen, so whether it's Daleks or Davros or Time War, like you would have those things happen and it makes sense. Whereas when you do it, I think sometimes in the normal format of the show, it just doesn't work. That type of violence or gore or sort of that type of writing.
With Selwood, it definitely felt like it was trying really hard to prove how shocking the show could be. And I think he did that in backlash to the fact that he felt that the show was getting to pantomime under J&T and under, to a lesser extent, with Graham Williams as well. He produced the latter half of the Tom Baker era, and that was a period where Mary Whitehouse had a say, and she said, no more violence on TV. We want this toned down and kept clean. And I think Selwood wanted to come. Sorry.
Because Selwood, but it's and I think it is I think it is in series 14 that yes I seen that she was very kind of equal to some of the content and that's Warriors. Also, like she and she was actually and she was actually and then the people that were actually against them the show during during the Tom Baker era show. So that as had been as had been so that as had been so that as has been as has been sort of isn't for each among the sort of I can ash against them a show because I don't think I don't think she enjoyed them. We'll get on and she came up also about vindictive also.
Yeah, I've sort of heard the jokes that she was the early SJW.
Yeah.
The sort of proto early version. And that she was sort of this imposing figure for a while over. So, but I'm guessing by the time you got to then, even Davidson, you saw bits of that sort of nastiness near the end of his run.
Yes, I mean,
so I'm guessing by then she'd lost a lot of her power.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is. I have wondered that actually, what happened, because I mean, it was like part of it was she kind of made the most noise, and I think it was basically the BBC who decided they had to micromanage the show, and that usually fell to the head of serials. But the head of serials would change every now and again. Like for most of Tom Baker's series, the head of serials was a guy called Graham McDonald, and like he was always writing notes of you got to watch that bit, don't the sacrifices and power crawl, maybe tone that down a bit, kind of thing. And then I think he got moved on, and in fact, I think because he wasn't able to micromanage anymore, because the thing is, I think actually they were changing the role of the head of serials so that he couldn't do the micromanagement he used to. I think that's why. For John Nathan Turner's first season, actually brought Barry Letts in to be his overseer, because I think that was the first sign of, well, the head of serials can't micromanage anymore, so Barry Letts will do it. And then they were kind of left to their own devices. And I think it was because for much of the Davison era they were left to their own devices. Eric Selwood started to go a bit more wild with the violence, and I don't know. It seemed like he could. For a while, he got away with it until obviously Michael Grade put the foot down. Yeah.
Because was it Warriors in the Deep that he famously watched?
Yeah.
I've yet to watch that one as well. That's going to be fun.
Oh, it's horrible, Charlotte. Horrible.
And this, I'm going to say this: Warriors of the Deep is one story I think is as bad as any Jodie story. Seriously,
I've heard so much bad. And I've also heard Peter Davidson talk about how, God love him, he did do that stunt in the tank, so he almost got hypothermia.
Yeah,
because he was in that water.
Yeah, it's
And
just
because I literally said my voice went high pitched when he came out the water.
It's just a really such worry. So I'll have my empathy and can season and you get around to that.
Yeah, but here's my new bar. Is it worse than Delta and the Bannerman? That's now my new bar for really bad classic.
Oh my god.
Oh, I don't know.
That's been the main classic one so far I've watched, and afterwards I've just been like, I now understand why the show was getting near cancellation at this point.
Yeah.
After watching Delta.
It's a real shock to see stories like that, isn't it? Because you kind of watch really good stories that kind of you think, oh, that was a really good classic story. I want to, and a really good one makes you think, I want to watch. You look forward to what's next.
Yeah.
And then you watch Delta and the Bannermen or something and then you kind of, you're like, oh God, this is. I couldn't believe a show that could do such greatness could sink that low.
Yeah. That's to be fair, that's the fun thing of the way I'm watching classic right now, because I'm not doing it in order. So I'll go from the heights of one Doctor to the absolute low of another Doctor.
Indeed.
Or basically whatever choice Paul Bean picks.
Yes.
And now we've given him an idea which isn't good. No, it's gonna kill us. But It's interesting to watch it actually like that for me, because it's new as well. Most of the stuff I'm watching is new to me.
Yeah.
So it's you. Because here's the thing, I bet that I will get around to liking some Baker stories and some Sylvester stories. It's just there's a lot bad so far.
I know. It was a bad time for the show, and I mean, yes.
I know I did, problem, and I know what you're gonna do now if you get Davidson. Good thing I actually like the Doctor, but I've heard the story's terrible.
And EJ, who's hopped into the chat, and he'll be considered for episode number 6 for excellent conversations. But welcome to the channel, and I hope you've enjoyed the conversation so far. But anyway, carry on, Sadako.
Oh yeah, I mean, the thing with Michael Grade was I don't know if I think he'd never been a fan of the show. I think he'd never really he'd been in charge of ITV during the 70s, and he'd done everything he could to knock Doctor Who off the win the ratings war. And I think, I sometimes think there's some people who think that maybe in some strange way he kind of became committed to the idea that once he got in charge of BBC, he was going to finally take down the opposition the way he never could when he was running ITV. But also, it was, to be honest, it was just not the show it used to be. I don't know if it was Warriors of the Deep necessarily that he was against, but it was the story he used as evidence from when he did the Room 101. It's like the infamous scene where it's a shock moment. It's shocking. It's just you get this monster called the Merker, which is basically piloted by the people from Red to Ghost, and you got Ingrid Pitt. So it's silly already, and then you got Ingrid Pitt deciding for some strange reason, because it travels through. It's electric eel type of monster. So any human who gets near to it gets electrified, and for some reason Ingrid Pitt comes across it I'm pretty sure this must have been an outtake that they decided to put in the finished product, but she decides to basically karate kick the thing. And it's like, Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
Oh, like I said, it's a good thing I like Davidson.
yeah.
Oh no, that's the highlight of the story.
Oh, okay. Well, because that's the thing. Because in Big Finish, like with Davidson, have you listened to any of Davidson's stuff on Big Finish?
Some of it, yeah.
How do you find him on Big Finish then, compared to his TV counterpart, like his TV version or counterpart?
He's definitely better. I mean, yeah, they definitely kind of made him a lot shrewder and a lot more. You know, he's but he's not quite my favorite. I mean, he's never quite. I don't know. He's my favorite go-tos are usually by other doctors, like but I do think he's better on audio, and I do feel like on audio they try to make him. I mean, in a strange way, he's almost like you're listening to the Fifth Doctor and Nyssa stories, and they almost feels like it's less kind of the era, less kind of slotted into the era they think. It's almost like they've taken a different path entirely. So it's almost like where you're almost listening to what the Peter Davison and Nyssa would have been like if after series 19 the show had gone a completely different way. So it's almost like because Nyssa is really tough as boots in a lot of those stories, and yet you think they like watch Terminus and thinking this doesn't seem like the same character at all. It's just she seems to have been so well. She seems to have outgrown a lot of this on audio, and it seems
Yeah.
I
think a lot of that is, though, you can tell. I think Davidson has a good connection with all his companions on audio. Like the actors, you can tell they get on, but you can tell especially with Nyssa's actress, who I can't think right now. Is it Sarah?
Sarah.
Yeah.
Yes, and yes,
You can tell that they've got a very close relationship. I think as friends, you can tell they. Like if they did the stereotypical one companion, he probably would have Nyssa. I think is how they do it in the audios.
Yeah.
And Tegan is still Tegan. God love her. You still have to get through. Daniel still can't stand that character, can you, Daniel?
Oh Jesus! You had to bring up Tegan again, didn't you, Janet?
Well, we're talking about Davidson.
Yeah, true, but Janet. Janet Newton as well comes a Carol Horses, one of the most arrogant whatever I saw. Say, Tatum, that's the show because she's always coming away with sort of these horrible sort of apes in the behind the scenes and they're behind the scenes and the behind the scenes special features and stuff, and it's like that. You're just a horrible person. What do you guys think about that?
Mr. What do you think of Tegan and if you want to comment on the actress, it's up to you.
Tegan. Like the first Tegan story I saw was the Five Doctors, and she's actually quite likable in that. So I was not prepared for some of her earlier stuff, where like the Visitation, where she just seems to be throwing a tantrum every other scene. And
yeah, she does that a lot.
Yeah, it's like
a bit of a moaner.
I think the problem is it's like her first episode was Logopolis, which was the end of the season. And in that story, she comes across the TARDIS and she's really kind of in a panic situation and she's kind of, demanding to know what the hell's going on. And I think because that was the only story, like if you were doing season 19 and you had to look back at a story previous to base Tegan's character on, all you had was Logopolis. So hysterical just became her entire character beyond the point it served its point kind of thing.
Yeah, and, do you think Tegan's a good example of there's a very fine line when it comes to protesting with companions, and she crossed it?
Absolutely, yeah. But it's like she it was strange, really, with her, because it feels like she kind of protested a lot over nothing, but then at points where you would expect her to protest, she became the kind of the deferring companion at a point where the Doctor just, she was, when the Doctor was just making really dumb decisions.
Yeah, so do you think there wasn't enough consistency, maybe, with her writing-wise?
No, I don't. Anything but, really. It was kind of... I just feel she was the first really one of the... I'm not fan of any of the Davison companions, really. I mean, this is okay, but Adric's horrible. Tegan's often... Whenever Tegan's like fighting with them, she just comes across as just as bad a lot of the time. And I
just can't stand that at all.
I mean, I just feel like, Romana was the last really great companion, and then she went, and it all kind of went downhill.
So are you not a fan of Ace? Because I know a lot of people like Ace. She seems to be one of the better later companions for people.
Yeah,
do you like her or not?
She's okay. She's she's all right.
Well, I kind of say that she's the strongest companion, to be honest, because the rest
what's the competition? Lanford, when they didn't let her do any of her strengths, from what I can understand.
Oh yeah, and she's another companion that just drives me up them. Oh, I mean, like, because is all she did was to give, and it's like up before I strangle you, because that's all she did was to get it in.
Yeah.
But isn't that why she got hired? That's the other story of her. She got hired because she could scream.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was like J&T doing another stunt thing a little bit.
Yeah. He was often doing that. I think he just kind of, much of what he decided to do was based on what would kind of make paper headlines, or what would... So it's like, I think he was kind of conscious of two things. One, he wanted to pander to the fan press, which is why he did a lot of kind of brought back a lot of old monsters. Like he was going to bring back Omega or the Sea Devils or the Sontarans or the Black Guardian, or he'd be pandering to the tabloids, and usually do that by casting particular big name celebrities, or by making a big thing about a particular companion's departure or arrival, kind of thing. He said like that was kind of... He said that was the only time he could get the tabloids to even talk about the show.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Yeah, it's a bit sad though, isn't it? You can only, at that stage, do it like that.
Well, I think he was focusing on the wrong kind of audience. It's like it's the audience at home that matters, who want to just enjoy a good hook to the show. And because, I mean, we were talking about this on the Blue Bonnet stream about like back when we had companions like Leela, where, she had a character arc which was interesting, and you knew that she could hold her own. So part of what you kind of was, when you went into one of her episodes, you thought, "Oh, she's going to kick some ass here," and that kind of thing. Whereas when you're watching a Perry story, you don't get that feeling. You just think, "Oh, she's good."
Perry. I'm calling it now. It's Stockholm syndrome. Why is she still with? Oh, the amount of times I'm probably people are sick to death of me hearing it. Nearly every time I watch a Baker episode with her, I just go, Perry, why are you still here?
Yeah.
Perry, why are you still with him? He hates you. He's horrible to you.
Yeah. He is.
Like, just do Tegan. Actually do something good that she did, and just go, nope, Doctor, it's not fun anymore, and leave.
Yeah. Well, there is a Big Finish audio called The Reaping. Have you heard that one? It's
no.
Yeah, it's Colin and Perry, and it involves the Cybermen, and it's basically the Doctor takes Tegan home briefly, and we actually meet her mother, who's, by the way, played by Claudia Christian from Babylon 5. I'm not kidding.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, it's kind of, you see in that relationship between Perry and her mother, kind of a like it's almost like it's trying to explain that the reason why Perry and the Doctor have that bond is because Perry has a similar kind of bond with her mother, where it's dysfunctional. They're always bickering, they're always kind of sniping at each other, but beneath that there is the kind of the caring kind of thing. But I mean, we didn't see enough of the caring.
Yeah, you just don't get the caring bit with the Doctor. That's the problem.
No, I mean, there's a few glimpses of it, but for the most part, it's just I don't know why they were written that way. It was just, I think it was just this. I think what it was is. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, mate.
Oh yeah. I think the problem with I think what it was is either John Nathan Turner or the directors or Saywad had this idea that okay, who's going to, if someone's going to stumble on the show, channel hop on the show, what's going to hook them? And it's characters being fraught and having an argument, drama kind of thing, friction. So, and that's kind of what they thought would kind of hook people. And it was just, but it was kind of repellent quite often.
Right, it's like the good example of that is Donna, like in the new run.
Yeah.
But even her like her first episode, people didn't like her. So you really have to be a good writer, don't you, to pull that off?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you just have to have a very good sense for character. And it's just, if you can't do either, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Hello?
Usually, isn't it?
Hello? You've frozen.
Oh, am I working now? Oh, don't tell me it's doing
Damn
it.
it.
Am I working now?
Yeah. And I can hear you said that. I told you, okay?
Oh, is Sadako having issues?
Damn it.
It's okay. Do you want to just knock
Hello?
yourself off? Yeah,
Oh,
we can hear
sorry.
you. No, we can hear you fine.
Yeah.
You've not broken up at all.
Yeah.
Oh, right. He'll be back. For once, it's not me. I can sympathise right now because this is usually me
Yeah.
on other streams.
Yeah, so like so we'll get that's it. One chance to each job on the chat so
But welcome to the new faces or new names. Sorry, it's names in chat. I saw a few. Bad Wolf. Is it Bad Wolf Boy?
yeah, bad will be Eugene, maybe Alpha Major, Agent W. I'm obviously part of Ian and everybody else in the chat that anyway here so that I go back.
Oh, hi. I don't know what happened there.
Just said it might.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Oh, have you seen me on stream, Sadako?
Oh, yeah. I know.
It's usually me going, hey, am I working? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So what you were talking about that audio and how Perry had a sort of similar relationship with her mum. So you think they were trying to say maybe that's why she stays with the Doctor?
Kind of, yeah. Well, I think that was the aim, I think, was to try and kind of, I mean, a lot of it is just kind of retroactive repair jobs on stuff that didn't work about the era, isn't it? So it's like it's trying to make, show different shades to Colin's Doctor. I mean, Colin's the one they work on the most, isn't it? Because they've done a good job with it. To be fair, he's been rehabilitated, to the point where for many fans he's their favorite Doctor on audio. And it's just a shame that his TV series isn't quite like that.
And some of the stuff he comes out with himself doesn't help.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But it seems to be like, so what do you think then? Playing too much to fans is a bad thing? Because I know you've sort of spoke about that in the past. Do you think that's like a bad thing that a showrunner can do in general?
Well, I think that it was badly done in the 80s, definitely. I mean, I think the problem is sometimes a really, really great monster was done really well the first time, and bringing it back kind of diminishes what made it work the first time. I mean, big example for me is the Master. I think the Master really had his time in. I think the Master was great in the 70s, and I think he doesn't necessarily become carrying him on into the 80s, and I don't think the character was ever really meant to be carried on that long. And I feel like the reason he was because of the fans, but you just watch it and you're thinking, why is this feud between them still carrying on like this? It's like, well, is one going to beat the other at some point, kind of thing?
Yeah, because it's sort of in the new one. I think they've tried to fix that a bit by saying he's just mad.
Yeah.
And he just hates the Doctor and he's mad, so that's why he'll always try and defeat him or like imprison him or do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like you though. I'm now to the point that even though I don't even have the classic baggage, I'm just fed up of that character. Like I just want that character to rest. Now I'm the same.
See, to be honest, I know like a high percent into the John Pertwee era as well. Also, this is a character that has been over and that has been overused as well. So yeah, it's kind of time to kind of try a different enemy for the Doctor to face because because that character has overused to such a degree. There's so many other characters that you could actually write about.
Yeah, so which ones do you guys think would be fun then if we tried? I'm just moaning. We actually like say what would work.
I could probably and it to come and like to pick up and probably Bean's point. I don't think that character would be able to would be able to translate all that together on TV because that's a spell, that personality character, so that relies heavily more audio and or audio improvisation. So I don't think no. I don't know. I think it possible would be an option for TV build. What do you guys think?
Who would you like?
The problem is most of the best villains the Doctor's faced up against were one-offs that would. I don't think. I mean, I think you could kind of lose what made them special or intriguing by bringing them back. Like I mean, I was thinking, Scarleone from City of Death would be great, but then the beauty of Scarleone was that we he was left as a bit of an enigma, and it's the same with Sutek. Morbius, but I don't know how they'd explain how he came back because, like,
God, yeah, now wouldn't that be complicated enough?
Yep, that's complicated enough. Thanks to the brilliant showrunner that they've got right now. And I'm obviously with fantastic for any obshites that will take the I'm even put it apart to the fact instead of that called sarcasm, but carry on, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm sort of my big thing is, and they probably won't because of now canon issues, is Valiant. I think that's such a good idea, and I think they'd have to, if they were to ever do it, they'd have to just sort of almost sort of do a little bit that he's not between those numbers and just say he's a future incarnation. Like he's just at a point the Doctor becomes that character, and and my shout would be McGann to play him. I can see McGann playing Valeyard very well because his Doctor basically. It would make the most sense to use that face because of what that Doctor faced in a Time War. He's had a lot of darkness now in him, so it would make sense that way. And I can just see McGann pulling that role off. And he still looks good for his age, so he wouldn't look too old, I don't think, to be that character.
You do kind of make a good point because you do kind of make a good point because on the odd days or has been described as a shadow of so that would be a good so that'd be a good sort of to sort of integrate again back into the show is that but I can
I mean,
What are you gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, my theory has always been that the Valeyard was a possible future version of Doctor. He wasn't necessarily the future Doctor. He was a Doctor from a possible future timeline.
Oh, so like a splinter, almost like what could have happened.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've always taken it that this is what the Sixth Doctor would become in the future if he didn't change his ways, kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, because I've always found it a bit weird though that the show in general, considering it's like time and space, and they've talked about a like alternate universe. I do find it a bit weird that we've not had like a proper alternate universe Doctor yet.
No,
like on television. I know audio's done it, but I've always thought like that would be such a, and also like you wouldn't have to muck around with the number system. You could just say, oh, they're just alternate universe. Like it'd be such a simpler way to also do a Doctor if you didn't want to try and make them fit. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
You would sort of just not have all that baggage.
So it's a sort of a stuff opportunity not to bad either way back because it kinda was open end he did the end a trial of a time or that we would actually see that character but we never actually and to be honest, if you as Charlotte said, if you woman, it's like, it's impossible now to do that character because of the way he canon is.
That's what I mean. They just would have to not give him a number. I think if they ever attempted Valeyard now, they just have to say he's a future at some point sort of incarnation.
Yeah, because the master's line I think was he's between your 12th and final incarnation. But I always thought that was the master probably assuming that the Doctor's kind of that's where the Doctor would kind of reach his final regeneration. So it might be that the master was wrong, and the Doctor actually had like lives after 12.
Yeah, the master's just like pulling his leg.
Yeah.
Pulling his leg, or he might just have made a miscalculated guess.
Yeah.
Because
because that was original. Because that was original because that was original idea for season 2. And that was original idea for season 2. And is to and back into the show, but it never actually turned out that. Unfortunately. And like
actually, I'm just trying to picture Yeah, I'm just trying to picture the Eighth Doctor though against a Valiant. That'd be a match of wills, wouldn't it? Like wits and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kinda know that that's already happened. What if the Eighth Doctor time or audio series he's in them series right, yeah, the Eighth Doctor and the Eighth Doctor time or I think he's in the Austin Warrior Volume 3 and I would just like to say thank you to
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you to Problem for being in the chat and if you didn't already know that stream that we done on this problem is up to 190 views.
Wow.
And
Cool.
so if you haven't already checked that out, guys, go and check it out if you haven't.
Yeah.
So
Take
anyway, carry on, guys. I just
Yeah, so
I just
what other Sadako sort of classic sort of is it sci-fi or other stuff? What sort of other shows do you like to watch or you watched?
Quite big on Star Trek. I was big on Star Trek in my teens. Various incarnations. Stopped after Voyager for me. There was a anime series called Dirty Pair, which I really like. Red Dwarf, big fan of Red Dwarf as well. And there's this old Australian TV show called The Girl from Tomorrow, which came out about 2 years after Doctor Who ended, and it's kind of similar in that it's basically, you've seen An Unearthly Child, haven't you? Yeah. Basically, the idea of the show almost seems to be, what if there was an entire series about Susan, adapting to life in the contemporary age, and the fact that but having knowledge ahead of her years. So it's about this time traveler from the future who becomes adopted by this family, and it was a fun show. It was quite a show. I watched that before Doctor Who, but it's like I remember it kind of quite vividly, and I watched it again recently, and it's still, for me, it's still. I mean, obviously you see this, the bits that kind of play a bit more to the kids kind of thing, but for the most part it holds up for me.
Yeah, I think sort of, would you argue sort of stuff that was perceived as kids stuff back in the day actually was a lot more advanced than people gave it credit for?
I guess so, yeah. I mean, it was definitely a show that tried to do kind of a bit more daring things for a kid show. I mean, it was quite, you had quite sinister villains and kind of high stake drama kind of thing. It wasn't it treated kids as kind of resilient to quite tough TV kind of thing.
So where was that shown? What do you know what channel? Because it was Australian. So where was it shown over here? Do you remember?
It was BBC, children's BBC back in the 90s. Yeah, it was basically half an hour episodes. It was a 12-episode series, and they did a sequel series called Tomorrow's End, which I think that was kind of a sign that Girl from Tomorrow had been such a hit that it had to get a sequel, kind of thing.
And let me guess.
Sorry?
Sort of all the radio on brother Oxney or something, child.
No, there's a particular channel on YouTube. Let's see, I'm gonna find it now. It's let's see, because they got all the old episodes of they got like lots of Australian kid shows on there. They got like the Round the Twist is on there as well, and Escape from Jupiter. Let's see, the channel is called where is it? It should be my history. Let's see, where is it? Damn it.
Yeah.
Twisted Lunchbox, Australia's Best Kids TV.
Okay, I'll try and remember that and add it to my list.
Yeah, and the problem is,
Because I love you guys. You've so much to watch.
Yeah. It's probably best to down.
If that myself, so send me medal. And me medal. And the street email of that or at some point.
Okay, well, I'll show you the. I'll give you the link to the channel in the private chat right now. Actually,
Yeah, cool.
That's the channel, but like it's everything's kind of, it's all the jumble of episodes. You kind of have to. Oh wait. Well, actually, no, they've created some playlists. So let's see. Okay, I got the playlist for The Girl from Tomorrow season. Oh, wait. Just a minute. Okay. Right. There's a playlist for series 1 and series 2. I can get you for you now as well.
Sorry, Daniel doesn't sleep, so he'll probably watch these at like midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know me. I usually go to bed at 2 in the morning. You know me.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you guys do it. I honestly don't.
It's easy though. So yes, I use so yes, I used to. It's kind of the depend because his kid eating. I says mama son. That's my usual time to with the bed now, so I want to be.
Not healthy.
No.
Yep.
No, because but I suppose if you sort of found Sadako, maybe, and you've probably seen this with your form, sort of the good thing is a lot of people have managed to get together and sort of get friendships going because of just in general what's happening in fandom.
Not so much on my forum because I feel like, well, I have to be. I hate to sound pessimistic, but I feel like forums have kind of been a bit superseded in recent years by, everyone's kind of into Facebook and into like, I think like a forum has to be tightly knit in the first place to, it can't just become a tightly knit place. It has to have been a tightly knit place for a while in order to still keep going. And even then, people tend to be more often on Facebook or YouTube because like you just get kind of more instantaneous interaction on in the streams and in the Discord or Facebook. But I mean, the forums have advantages as well. They can kind of compile a lot more into a thread. You can kind of wax a lot more lyrical about things, I feel. But I mean, you can on YouTube, but I mean, when you're in the chat, like, it's all kind of, it's very limited. One line.
You have so many letters, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think it's only about 200 characters. So I would advise. So I'm ready to advise YouTube to get that because you can't really have an expansive conversation with 200 characters, so get that you can actually do something about that. The idea is like carry on. I'm having a rant about that.
I suppose so. With some people, if you gave them unlimited amount, they would just like write literal paragraphs.
Yeah.
In a live chat, and that just wouldn't work, would it?
Yeah, someone put it in their dissertation or something.
Yeah. It's sort of like double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a good thing about streams, though. You can obviously
Yeah.
actually debate and have discussions, and I just feel like we're losing that skill a bit nowadays. So when we can, we do need to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's kind of the reason why I started to kind of like so it's kind of like the reason why I started to introduce obviously and um, obviously like as I'm sort of I'm streaming on YouTube. Yeah, you can just sort of talk, um, talk about anything. Yeah, and it seems that people are enjoying the streams I'm doing at the minute. And it's kind of out our own my own I mean here, Charlotte, and to be honest as well, actually, um, um, actually a lot better because you hear a lot of different opinions and you get this all the time, and you get this all the time that people, and cause think the exact same opinions. That's not really true because there's been a couple of times where we've actually, I mean, we've actually we said that I should agree with you in that point, and then you have a reason why, but it's just like a load of crazy people think. I we all have the same opinion, and we would won't have the same opinion at all. It's incorrect.
Yeah. So Sadako, in general, what's your sort of a take on, as we sort of say, the SJW sort of infection in fandom and whatever term you prefer to use, or if you don't?
It's well, it's not good, is it? But I mean, the problem is, I think like it's been with the fandom for a while. I mean, like a lot of people talk about this as a new thing, but I mean, let's face it. I mean, Paul Cornell is one of these SJWs, and he's been a fan since the 70s.
Yeah.
But like, and it's like he's kind of, you know, and it's just kind of it's the opening of the floodgates to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the problem is, I mean, I'm going to say this, I do feel like to a degree, it was a bit of a fact in the Russell T Davies here as well, where it just felt like RTD was kind of wanted to portray this future in which all his right-on politics all worked out, and we had this kind of great future.
Yeah.
So I mean, the classic series, it was progressive, but it wasn't utopian. And I think the new series is utopian. And I think a lot of these SJWs have a very kind of utopian goal, and they just think, crush everyone who gets in the way. But I mean, it's I think maybe, I don't know. I mean, I think some of it is the internet. I mean, it's possible that some of these SJWs have had really bad experiences online that have, you know, bullying online that's kind of given them this misanthropic view of the whole world, and they made people seem worse than they are, kind of thing. Like they kind of have this,
It's like they're looking for like villains, so they
kind of but also I do think that the education system and some they can sort of themselves like each and every obviously they in the way these have contributed to the sort of into the sort of sort of the it's like like I don't see how that will ever be as often because it's always going to be equivalent to some sort of thing. To be honest.
I mean, I think it's to still die down when there's a backlash, or if some of these SJWs face reality that forces them to wake up, I suppose. But I don't know, though. Some of them never will. I mean, like, I thought that Trump's victory was going to be the wake up call for a lot of them. That we've been quibbling about nothing, and now we've got kind of the victory of someone who we thought was kind of we thought we had it good. We thought we didn't appreciate what we had before, but instead it seemed to make them go worse. We got Antifa then, and because I mean ultimately it's a cult and it's always going to kind of get worse. And
I think that with more to do with obviously shows and fandom, I do think there's going to be a tipping point where companies just need to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can't always bank on people who aren't going to give them money. Like, and I think we're seeing little signs of that. Myself, maybe I'm too optimistic, but I think we're seeing little signs of obviously not. We still got major issues in Hollywood and the BBC, for example, with pandering. But I think there's little sort of, we might go a bit less on the politics here, or we might produce something that's a bit more centre here.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't outwardly too one way or the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I hope so. I mean, but then of course there's the whole thing of even no matter what the people do, it's never enough for a lot of these activists, is it? They always kind of say, you're not progressive enough. You're not. It's always they always eat their own kind of thing.
And I guess the obvious example would obviously be Gareth of us as well, because he's been cancelled a number of times in regards to the fandom. The most recent cancellation was obviously the unicorn unicorn the unicorn Oz episode. I don't and anyway organized because she kind of backtracked and she picked a different episode. Or that around the around the actual show of it. So
I think that's the problem, though. It's if people keep bending the knees, the term is used, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like I've read like an old review Gareth Roberts did in Doctor Who magazine of the Dominators, and in that he was kind of saying, like, he wasn't necessarily a fan of the story, but he said, like, it's got a point that, look, this whole thing about cultural relativism and let's embrace all cultures doesn't work when you're dealing with some cultures that are just hostile. And he was kind of saying that kind of, he felt like it was kind of it was kind of a losing tide. He was saying, like, I feel like I'm a lone voice saying this. It feels like everyone's kind of listening to Paul Cornell say that, we can have a caring, sharing world kind of thing. And it's like, so I think he was always kind of skeptical of the crowd he was in, who were kind of, he was always kind of thinking, look, this is, there's a real world out there kind of thing. And
I think at the end of the day, humans, we can try and sort of think, we're going to all be the bestest versions of ourselves. But that's not how humanity works. that's not how we all have our bad parts and the things that we shouldn't do. And if you put people together for long enough, that's going to come out. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you sort of have to always have that in mind. I have optimism when it suits, because that's what I do like about Russell. But I felt like he did enough optimism, and then he would do a story like recently. Noel just did Planet of the Ood. Like, that's a realistic, quite a stark story.
Yeah.
And I think you need to have both of that. You can't just always have the rainbows and sunshine.
Yeah.
So if you live too much on there, you just not. And also, you need sort of that. I think with Who, I know in other shows, Who's the best example for me. I think anything fantasy, the fantasy only works if you have those little biting sort of moments of, no, this is sort of reality giving you a punch in the face almost.
But it's like, it's moments where the character does something that's so human. Like, so it's almost like they give it kind of human experience to something fantastical. That nobody can relate to, kind of thing.
Yeah, because that's why we have the companion, isn't it, in Who? Like, the Doctor's the fantasy, the companion's the reality, and that's why you need to have that mixture right.
Yeah.
But also as I think it's time that maybe like obviously like the seed levels in back in like other monsters like that. I mean, obviously not just I mean, obviously after this era has finished, obviously.
Because like, I mean, like, the Sea Devils episodes can get preachy, and like, you put Jodie in one of them, it's going to be like, preachy times 100.
I was going to say that's basically a Save the Planet environmental episode being written for you with the Sea Devils.
Pretty much, yeah.
So here's a fun question on Sadako. Has there been any like creature designs in the newer run that you've gone, oh god, that's bad, from classic?
Oh, you mean like as the new series? Do you mean like, has the new series ever topped like some of the worst in the classic series?
Oh no, has any redesigns? Redesigns. Which ones have you loved or hated?
It's a subtle thing, because like, I think like the old Cyberman and the new Cyberman, I feel like with the thing, I thought the new Cybermen were fine at first, and then kind of I thought about it. I thought, well, if they're missing something, it's the fact that they look like robots completely, rather than, whereas in the old series they actually looked like they were kind of suit-wearing humans, kind of thing. So it's like, so you saw the organic element in them somewhat, because of the fact that they were kind of, they weren't just all kind of iron.
Yeah,
and that's kind of, I think that kind of gave them a bit more of a sense that they were zombies and kind of in technology. So I feel like, I mean, I think the new Cybermen, okay, but they're not that's something they're missing from the old. The Dalek redesigns in Victory of the Daleks weren't very good. The Resolution, the Dalek in that was just awful. It was an awful design.
The steel one.
Yeah, and why I had those.
That was awful.
It was just misshapen. It just feel like does
also, I'm also I would have to say the character of okay is a bad character. That character makes me inch for the good actors absolutely hate.
The weird Scottish alien.
Yeah. He was absolute shit.
Well, and Paul Troughton, I felt sorry for him. Just like, you've come back, mate, and they've got you having like stupid eyebrows. And acting the rubber duck. Like, I felt so bad for Pat.
Yeah.
But I've got the feeling he'd always come back, Pat, because he's probably out of classic. He's probably the most returning one, isn't he? Now I think.
Yeah, he's he's returned to Earth 3 in all the multi Doctors he'd done, and like the two Doctors, the only one he was solo coming back on, and he was definitely enthusiastic. I mean, like right to the end, like I mean, there's like the like he loved the conventions as well. I mean, that's kind of where he was when in his last days, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think with the two Doctors, it's like it's strange. It doesn't really feel like a multi-Doctor story.
No, it's such a weird beginning as well because you've got such a heavy chunk, haven't you, of Second and Jamie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching it. It's like, all right, this isn't too bad. Like I can, designs are a bit like dodgy, and then they stopped and went to Bacon. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm starting to see why everybody hates this episode.
Yeah. We're going to be reviewing that one on our probably Saturday after next on the Bonnet channel because we've been doing we've been looking at Robert Holmes stuff. Yeah, because it's the writer's stream, so we focused on Holmes at the moment, but like he's done so many, we've had to split into 4 parts. So our next one's going to be on all his 80s stories. So it'll be Caves of Andazani and
Paul. Caves is no Caves. At least you've got Caves.
Yeah, Caves is good. I'll concede that.
You concede, but no 2 Doctors. It's just I watched.
But in terms of Peter Davidson's big finish, you've obviously got spare parts, and you've got get through this story with the and obviously you've got him shadowed the weeks that have come out of it. You seem to that have kind of helped him rehabilitate the or some character about and you guys
definitely with spare parts I'd agree. I've not heard Shadow of the Daleks. I bought it during lockdown, but I've not heard it yet. Charlotte.
Yeah, the vibe I've got now, I've watched a bit of Davidson as well, is I think Davidson had an idea what he wanted to do, but he couldn't do it on the television program, like because he basically got told, "No, you're gonna be the naive sort of nice human Doctor," and I think Davidson probably wanted to go a bit more. I don't think dark's the right word, but sort of. I tried like a bit more forceful, a bit more sort of snarky. Like that's the vibe I think. So on Big Finish, I think they've let him basically do what he would have wanted to have done if he had the sort of control like a Tom Baker did. That's the vibe I get. It's sort of Davidson really just going like with the flow and them saying, you do what you want to do this time.
Yeah.
And obviously, when someone you have the second installment about a time where Peter Davidson and David Tennant on odd out of time series out of time. We'll be up against the Cybermen and Harris, so that will be coming out and Joe. I think.
Well, that's just going to be fun because of obviously their real life relationship. So it's going to be interesting to see if you get that vibe just off them like being their doctors almost.
Do you think they'll acknowledge the fact that they met in Time Crash, or maybe?
Well,
I'm hoping it's after that. I really do hope it's after Time Crash.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's after that because it would kind of because it would kind of enhance that a bit further. Because I enjoyed the dynamic of it with them in Time Crash, so I hope it's after that. With for an interesting story, but we'll have to see because it's like it's a because it's a 16 and it's a 16-minute story this, and so it's a relatively concise audio.
Yeah. I'm just remembering now that scene in that moment in Time Crash where like Davidson's going to like, look, who are you? And it's like, look at me, look, I'm I modeled after you. It's like, oh no, you are, yes, you are a fan.
Yeah.
What? No.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. Davidson's so good at dry and witty.
Yeah.
Like, I think he proved that in the television he did after Who, almost.
Yeah.
I think when he got a bit older, like some of his best roles, he's like that.
Yeah.
So I think he basically was channeling him almost, not so much the Fifth Doctor almost in that mini. He was just being sort of Davidson.
Yeah.
Emma kind of felt it was kind of asked about early, and Emma kind of felt it was cast a bit too early into the role as well. I think maybe if it was cast a bit Emma Battle on in the show's history would have been a bit a better incarnation as well.
Yeah.
No, I think he was a bit. I think he was a bit inexperienced when he was cast.
I think the other problem with the series is because they kept on bringing back all these old monsters. I don't think it allowed him to be his own Doctor because it was like, well, now you're facing this Pertwee monster. You've got to kind of reenact what Pertwee did. You can't. And it was like that got away from the possibility of being his own Doctor because he had to kind of follow in the footsteps of doctors before him, kind of thing. And
yeah, and he sort of he was always going to be Tom's shadow, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So that was a pretty big shadow.
Because Tom Baker done 7 years in a row, so it was always going to be hard to build a sort of sort of relationship that's similar to that. And to be honest, go ahead, Sadako.
I think really what people would have wanted after Tom is okay. Yeah.
Okay, so say that again, Sadako, because that was. Yeah.
What it was is I think if you wanted to kind of if they wanted to win people over to the Fifth Doctor, I think what he needed to be was the kind of Doctor that people could look at it to say that, okay, well, where Tom, met a horrible end in Logopolis because of the Master, then this new Doctor is going to avenge him. This is, and I feel like the audience didn't get that, and that's probably what they would have wanted Davison to be. They wanted kind of, and that's probably what they would have rooted for, but I don't think they really. To promise, in a lot of stories, I feel like it was very, very hard to root for Davison. You'd root for him, and his Doctor would kind of let the audience down.
Yeah, he wasn't so much of the sort of forceful presence Doctor, was he?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Messenger. I got Messenger. So that's probably what that was. I was trying to mute them quickly. So.
Oh, okay. All right, I see.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was technical issues in mind.
It's what you get with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Davidson would be interesting. Like, what if he got cast when he was like 10 years older? Would you say, or maybe like even a little bit less than that, and just see what type of Doctor we would have got?
10 years older, maybe 5 years older. I mean, like, I think he has said like he felt like he was really comfortable with the role by Caves, which was his last story. And he said a lot of that was down to the fact that he had a good director in that story, and that kind of got him to be a bit more confident and feel a bit more kind of settled. I mean, you can kind of tell in some of his earlier stories that he's flailing about a bit. He's kind of he's like like maybe he's kind of it's a bit like it's kind of unfocused, kind of bluster, if you know what I mean. And he's you feel like he's kind of it needs to be kind of honed to something kind of thing, and he's kind of that he needed a director to hone him on something kind of thing.
Yeah, because wasn't that Graham Harper Caves?
It was, yeah.
A very young Graham Harper, but that was like one of his first big episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
And also as well at the end of Exam Gerizani, it regenerates into all in Stockholm. It as well as kind of make it to me think, is I going to be killed with it in the season 2 and 2? On upset, or do you think that'll be killed with it in the season 2 and 2? Upset because it's a open because story because I don't really know how they're going to restart were they though? Oh, because do you think they'll just or in with the season 2 and 2 on or do you think they'll just or in with season 20? Because I don't know how they would put that in a bill. Would they say no? Oh, what do you guys think?
Well, it's well known, isn't it? So they probably keep it in, I would think, because people
Yeah.
just know that Davidson's last story. Oh, sorry, that no, I've got it the wrong way around. That they sort of did that weird thing with Davidson and Baker.
Yeah. I think like it's you know they'll just have to say it's part of season 21, but it's got to go in the season 21 set.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna have that issue if they aren't they gonna have that issue with Baker to Sylvester?
No, because Sylvester like he like Sylvester like from the start like it was Sylvester. I mean there was. Have you seen Time in the Rani?
No, but I got this mixed because there's a few that I think I know and then I get mixed up.
Can I?
I mean, that's a story, and that's a story that of this Troy has a bizarre head. He's on his head because all the wasn't coming back to ruin wasn't coming back to ruin the regeneration and the regenerations because at that point is at that point all like an FU to the BBC.
You can't really blame him at that point. Like he basically, I think he's one of the few doctors that actually got fired by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
And everybody else walked away when they wanted to.
I mean,
and again, that this and again, that decision was taken by equal give this equal give this Johnny isn't I'm not then actually and Johnny isn't on it on it but it was instead of by give it to I am.
Do you think that was? Do you think that? Here's a fun question. Do you think Ray was right then to tell him to get Baker out at that point, or do you think Baker should have been given like another series or maybe two push?
I'm not sure. Sadako, what do you think?
Oh, we got issues with Sadako. This stream's been fun, hasn't it?
Yep.
Oh, is he now having issues? With me and him are trading right now, by the sounds of it.
Oh, God.
Gremlins, folks, this is the fun of tech.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to go away for a minute. I'm back. Sorry, I meant, what was the question again? Sorry.
Did you think Colin was right to get pushed out when he did, or should he have been given another series?
I think I think it would have been nice for him to get another series. I mean, it certainly wasn't his fault. I mean, it's difficult because, I mean, they made such a bad impression with his Doctor with the Twin Dilemma. It just seemed, I mean, why start the Doctor that way? I mean, it's like, then it becomes uphill work to kind of get him likable again. And a lot of people have probably given up by then. They've made the kind of first impression judgment that he's just, he's, I mean, it's everything that Michael Gray did just seems a bit suspect. But I mean, maybe is it possible that they just thought, well, a change of image might be what the show needs? I mean, the thing is, I mean, people say, well, 2 years wasn't enough for Colin to make the role, but I think the problem is a lot of that's down to the writing, because I mean, if you like Tom Baker in his first 2 years, he had a solid era already, and same with Pertwee, whereas Colin didn't get that quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, in as well, the whole trial of the Time War, all them series was a sort of strange concept for the show. I mean, the way that season is I think it's just such a it's such a strange concept. Shall we'll see what I mean when we get to that series, but it is a strange sort of or a season again. Though that was a cool girl, and again that was a cool girl. It influence over the auction, so you can kind of see so you can kind of see that it was asserting himself on the program at that point.
Yeah, because it's in classic, from what I've got so far that I've watched, to sort of put a whole series with sort of one strong concept, because it seemed to be like in classic they didn't have the sort of thing that you get in New Who, which is very story arc heavy, sort of everything building up to a finale. It seems like in classic it was a lot more, here's our one story, we're going to tell it in the amount of parts, and then the next adventure next week. So it must have felt very odd in classic to have that sort of, here's one storyline basically running through a whole series.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it was Grade's decision to do Trial of a Time Lord, but I think it was Grade's decision that they had to junk what they already had because he's just there had to be an overhaul, which is ironic because if you listen to a lot of the Lost Stories, a lot of the stories that season 23 would have gotten, like the Nightmare Fair and the Mission to Magnus, that they were kind of far lighter than what we were getting in season 22. So it's like if they wanted the show to kind of get back to family entertainment that wasn't always shocking, wasn't going for the shock value, then that was kind of it. I felt like that could have been it. And whereas the trial, I think maybe Eric Soward had the idea of satirizing the show on Trial, and maybe they had the idea that the overstory was what they'd need to kind of get people hooked, kind of thing, so that the viewers would stick to the end. I mean, because I think that a lot of it was the ratings were blamed. They said, well, the season started with Attack of the Cybermen. It had a really, really strong ratings for its first episode, and they sank, and that's kind of and people kind of point to that as that's why Grade kind of pointed to that it had problems, and maybe they thought, Oh, and Cam says he's hi Cam. He's found the form and he's going to register. That's good.
Yeah, that's also why I want to do the stream, where we could get a few people on Sadako's form, which would be nice.
Yes.
And there's also sign up to that forum, and like a honestly, I'll be on there a bit more often. I just haven't had I just haven't found the time yet to I just haven't found the time yet to be on. Yeah, but I do actually intend to give it a look because I've obviously I signed up during the very first lockdown, so I intend to give it a look. So we'll sign up to the autumn.
PG just had an interesting comment. There, have you put it up? Or even just all companions, maybe, to give evidence against the Doctor or for the Doctor.
Yeah, well, then, didn't we kind of already do that? We went with obviously only Langford because she was wanting to kind of save it all because it all went about your shape and it's up for Colin and Doctor, so she was the one that kind of helped them save him in a sense.
Yeah, but I think what PJ's getting to, almost treat it like an excuse to do an anniversary theme of all companions and at a push maybe all Doctors. But I think the companions maybe, let's say you get Tegan back, would she give a positive or negative against the Doctor considering how she left? Or you could get Jamie very positive.
I think that would kind of be I think when it wants to Egan, it's kind of a negative, because remember what she says, the fight is up to being on any up to being fun, after a lot of people have died today, and I give it and so on and so on.
And then you could have somebody like Jamie, who's very loyal, who's always sort of positive about the Doctor, and sort of show how different companions had very different experiences. Maybe they could have done that a bit.
So we've actually, so we've actually moved to that season in Charlotte. So we should actually write that idea down and get me and Sadako to get over.
I need to know more classic before I can even attempt that. What were you going to say, Sadako?
Oh no, I mean, I was wondering if maybe they, when they commissioned it, might have been an idea they had. Maybe they had high ambitions and they had to scale them down because obviously certain things they couldn't get hold of. Maybe I don't know. I mean, that would have been a wonderful idea. It would have been that would have worked. I think it would have been would have fit the theme of making the case for this show and for why the show was worth carrying on, but didn't happen.
Yeah, and the majority of that season's and the majority of that season's ash that the producers had to enter this in on that opening shot of this Asian character and remember at the start of Trial with the Time Lord Sadako, how you get this big epic shot of this Asian and a sizable chunk of the budget for the season was actually used up on that shot, so it wasn't the best idea really because some of the effects after that were a bit as a result because the budget was all the budget was pretty much pretty much them all pretty much all used on that shot display station.
Well, I mean, I'll say this: there's no shockers in Trial of Time. There's nothing as bad as the Merker or the gel guards. It's like there's nothing. So there's no, but it looks cheap, but it doesn't look. There's no moments where it's like shocking, if you know what I mean. But it's like, yeah.
I never understand the logic. Just Teleland, and this is just like, why blow your budget on like one big shot that looks nice and is impressive, but then you're just suffering for the rest of the series, and this is just a general thing in television I don't understand.
It's this whole. I think there was just this. I think J&T just had this mindset of putting the expense on screen, kind of thing, and so when this is kind of like you wanted the. I think maybe it was where the show wasn't seen as kind of that kind of high tech. So he kind of any chance he got to make it look a bit more high tech, he'd kind of go for like. I mean, that's how like a big part of that was Chameleon. Like he had a friend who had this robot prototype that hadn't worked out, and so he thought, okay, well I've got this for free. I can put it in the show, and it looks futuristic, and it kind of makes the show look like.
And also, ends up the point that the charge that the doctor is we get engine every segment of the story as well. So I think it's all very so there's all very and interest in the story and the interest of the story was that and the interest of the story it is the evidence against the actor, so wasn't as though that you go operated with interest actual actual story itself was the trial and what to be honest which wasn't the best choice for Ashles.
No, it's there was. I mean, the thing is, like, even. I mean, I think even Colin said that there was a part in a trial where he kept saying, "Look, my motivations in this story don't make sense." The story, and he went to the writer and said, "Well, what's going on with my character here?" And I don't know. Ask the script editor. He's like usually kind of writing, and then goes to Eric Sale and says, he said to go to you about this, and then said, "Well, don't ask me, ask John Nathan Turner." So he got so. Well, I mean, so he kind of had to come up with his own interpretation. It's like if even the writers don't understand what they're dealing with here, how do the casual audience have a chance, kind of thing?
Yeah,
you can't hear a definitive voice.
No,
like it's a bit of a cliche, but it's true in the story. You're just snookered, aren't you?
actually, usually again, but brings up a very good point as well. The Darwin, it should have been a prosecution. It should not have been a prosecution with as well.
Yeah, but now you're giving me flashbacks to remember when in Moffat we had like the Parliament Daleks, and it just didn't look right.
Yeah.
It just felt weird. Like, why do the Daleks have a Parliament? Like,
that was really stupid. I kind of want to that sharp, but you just put a mind it.
Yeah, but it made me think. Like that.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I just any more what you want to make before I get you to do your before I get you to do your is there anything that you would like to add?
Yeah. About the thing about the trial. I mean, like it was done so much better with Troughton when he was put on trial by the Time Lords in the first time, and what worked there was. It was clear what he was being charged with. It was clear what his case for the defense was. His defense was, look, I've interfered, but I did good. I did good things, and it's like that gets the audience on side instantly. And he even feel like well, this, he has to, he's making a groundbreaking case. This is going to shake, the Time Lords to the kind of, it's going to make them shake them out of their conceit because he's saying, look, there's a universe out there that needs us, kind of thing. And I feel like the problem with trial, of course, is that it complicates that. It doesn't really make it clear what he's being charged with, what his defense is, and it just it becomes kind of murky and kind of and it's this sometimes things are best done the first time, kind of thing.
What if we get anything to add before we finish up?
No, just that I struggle with Colin anyway, so I'm really looking forward now to watching this when I get to it.
Well, I'm going to enjoy it, and it's going to be a super fun time. Rainbows, sunshine, ice cream, and chocolate.
Well, at least it'll be entertaining for other people to watch my reactions on stream. That's be the one.
Yeah, I'll enjoy that.
I still remember being traumatized by Mind Warp. Mind Warp's the second story in the trial season.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, be.
In fact, but in fact, though it's actually it's actually the strongest it's actually the strongest argument try with the time to the next step. It's about if you know what I mean.
Pantomime. But yeah.
Or Charlotte just me. You just have walking on.
Just tech. Just.
Alright, so alright, so before YouTube and taking all the cancel I'll get you just to do your shit out. So I'll start with so I'll start with the or este or or este for tonight. Is there any channels or anything that you would like to out?
Definitely the Blue Bonnet Hoovian. She's I'm on her channel quite often. She does some great streams on Classic Who, which I think they deserve more recognition, because we really kind of, it's hard at this time when everything about the show is so negative to extenuate the positive, and she does that well, and she lets me have my say, which so if you want to kind of hear more of my say, but also hear her say, because she's got a lot to say as well, then definitely check out her channel. Definitely check out her writer streams. I think I like to think that in years to come, they'll look those her streams will be looked back on as as a great standard of kind of fan content on YouTube. Obviously the forum. I'd give a shout out to Dave Travels Through Time. I've done some fun streams with him. Sanctuary of Geeks. He's also one I have to because he's always good. And my forum, but that's in the link below. That's check it out. It's a young forum. It needs a bit of love and care maybe, but I think it's definitely a place to go if you want to kind of talk about the classic stuff and not feel you have to kind of apologize for having issues with the show as it is now.
I know. Also, suppose I should wait my almost.
Well, you know what will happen if you don't. I'll give you a good idea. So.
Oh God!
So, Tech hates me, right? Me and Daniel, I'll be quick on here. I am a regular on the TARDIS Zone when it's Classic Who, or if it's TARDIS Zone Talks, or when Evernote has like a drop-in sort of thing. And then when I can on Spacebook, when Tech, as you can see, lets me, because Tech loves me, I'm on Dan's streams.
And obviously, as well, I'll be back with Charlotte with episode 6 of the excellent conversation series, and if EJ's up for it, and if PJ's up for it, he'll be the next guest on the channel, because it's as it's important that we get some more voices out there, because I kind of feel that I'm on my odd at the moment. So EJ's the next guest on the channel, so I'll put him all the up out of his channel the next time, and and obviously as well, I'll probably pop on the TARDIS on auctions for Friday night to give my thoughts on us and speculation, and I can kind of already tell Charlotte it's already looking forward to my reaction anyway, so it's going to be a super fun time, and I'm sure I'll give Charlotte something to tell on Friday.
You always do.
Can I just ask, Charlotte, what is the next watch along? Classic watch along?
Oh, I
It's a pertwee one,
chose
isn't it?
Planet. Yeah, Planet of Spiders.
Oh, excellent! That's a good one. I really like that one.
Yeah, that's a very that's a very good one. All that remains to be said is join um join Sadako who's Autumn
Yeah.
Autumn if you have time if you can spare about 5 minutes to join and if Autumn it would be awesome. I'm sure Sadako would appreciate it and
Yep. I would indeed.
or everything Charlotte's involved in as well because she is a very popular voice in the streaming community and she puts up more years well on the site I come away so she deserves a red deal. So all that needs to be said is thank you to the audience in the chat, and we'll
Thanks,
kind
guys.
of and 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 we'll kind of figure out a time to do episode X with PJ in chat. Until then, guys, take care and stay safe, and thanks for the support.
Night, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, bye, everyone. Bye.